All right, joining us on the talking point is Sushant Sareen, Senior Research Fellow, the Observer Research Foundation. G Parthasarathy is former Indian diplomat, ambassador to many countries. Brahma Chellaney, Strategic Affairs Expert, and Andrew K.P. Leung is an independent strategist based in Hong Kong. Brahma Chellaney, I'll start with you first. PP15 was something that both India and China, in principle, had agreed to disengage from even way back in March or April when Wang Yi, the Foreign Minister of China, had come calling. Why didn't it happen then, and why did it happen now, and what should we make of this disengagement? Because the opposition here in India is asking, what about Dimchok, what about Dipsang?
Well, it's a fair question. Way back in March of this year, the Chinese Foreign Ministry in a statement claimed that the disengagement at Kogra Hot Springs had been completed. Now we have learned that the disengagement began only yesterday. But I think we should not forget the bigger picture. The India-China military standoffs constitute the longest period of military confrontation since China imposed itself as India's neighbor in the early 1950s by occupying Tibet. The current standoffs have lasted more than 28 months. So this is a very long period of confrontation. And the latest disengagement agreement relates to the smallest Chinese encroachment. This is on the traditional Indian patrolling point 15 at Kogra Hot Springs. So when the government of India admits in its official statements, as it has done since yesterday, it says Kogra Hot Springs in brackets PP15. In other words, this was a Chinese encroachment on an Indian patrolling point. But if you look at the MEA statement today, it's very clear that what's happening is that sides are going to disengage and pull back, which means that India will lose access to its traditional patrolling point. The same story has been repeated before. It happened in Galwan, where India lost access to patrolling point 14, which is now in the buffer zone. Patrolling point 14, if you recall, was the site of the bloody clashes of June 2020. Same thing happened in Pangong. Same thing happened in Kogra. So this will be the fourth area where China, in effect, moves 10 miles ahead and then pulls back five miles. In effect, it's a net gainer. It places itself strategically in a vantage location. So we should not forget the larger picture, that while this engagement is good, what is happening now is the creation of another buffer zone that will advantage China.
Now, I want to ask G Parthasarathy, so yes, we've had disengagement so far in Galwan, of course. We've seen that in Pangong So and in PP15 and PP17. What is interesting is the Dipsang and Dimchok areas, the Dipsang Plains and then Dimchok. We've seen incursions far before this 2020 incursion that happened. We've seen this way back in 2013, 2014. The conventional sort of argument in China is that they're building a new highway between Tibet and Xinjiang. Now this passes through both Dipsang and Dimchok, and they are not in a mood or in a position to give up their claims on Dipsang and Dimchok. If that is the case, G Parthasarathy, is it acceptable to India? Will India settle for, okay, you've disengaged from PP 14, 15, 17, and of course Galwan and Pangong. So we're okay with Dipsang and Dimchok and this new highway that's passing through, or will it be unacceptable to India in a way that India continues to press for both these areas? Because those two seem to be the now remaining sticking points, if you will.
You know, firstly, let me say that I've always been a great admirer of the way my friend from the Center for Policy Research puts this case forward, and he's factually totally right. So with Brahma, I must say this, that one can't dispute Brahma on fact. But you have to look at a process, what we are talking of, not finding a solution tomorrow morning, but a process which reduces tensions. It goes without saying that there can be no territorial give as far as we are concerned whether it is Depsang or the hot springs. Hot springs, as I said, they're pulling out from what we gather from back across the LOC. And this is going to continue for a long time. But I'm inclined to look at the larger political picture also. For too long, the Chinese have been sort of labeling us as a Western protege. But the reality of the matter is, and they have learnt it, and you can see it in their writings, even in rags like the Global Times. You can see it in their writings that they do sense that what they were talking about, their fears of an American-Chinese, of a Indian-Chinese alliance to surround them, that is hot air. Yes, we will join the United States, we will join Japan, we will join anyone else we can to contain Chinese power. As long as the Chinese behave the way they are, pushing their power beyond and presence beyond what are their acceptable borders. So what is important now, as I see it, is in a couple of days we are going to have this summit in Uzbekistan, where the Prime Minister will be going, I'm certain. You're going to have Xi Jinping. You're going to have Putin, because he has taken a substantial interest. And you'd also perhaps have the Iranian president. Now this is, I think, will give you an opportunity for a face-to-face. And I think this should be, matters of this nature cannot be discussed or sorted out at letters of the foreign minister or the defense minister. And they have, both of them, done a very good job in Tokyo. But I think that a meeting of the heads of government, it could either lead to a stalemate, yes, or a sort of acceptance on a way forward. Because very frankly, I don't see a settlement or the Chinese conceding everything. As for their coming into our territory through building roads and so on, like they did in Aksai Chin, that would be totally unacceptable.